we're going to go ahead and open up Slicer 3D, also known as Slicer. Then we're just going to click and drag our file into Slicer. Make sure it says volume. Alright, and press OK. Now you can see our CT scan. I'm going to make this bigger for you guys. Alright, now we're going to go up to the top tabs. We're going to scroll down to volumes. Here in volumes, there's some preset settings. We're going to click the abdomen CT. That's going to change how our CT looks. Now we're going to go to the segment editor. We're going to go ahead and add 4 segments. I'm going to name the first segment mask, second segment as femur, the next segment as sacrum, and the last as the hip. Now, what I'm doing here is completely optional. I like to have higher contrasting colors, so you can click on the square and change the colors to what you want. Make this one yellow. There's some predefined colors, or you can pick on the multicolor finder. Like I said, this is completely optional. It's just a preference of mine. Alright. And now we're gonna go ahead and make sure we select on the mask layer. You just click it. We're gonna click on threshold. You can see the screen's now pulsating. And we're gonna adjust this little bar here until we have most of the bone segments. You may not get all of them, it may not be perfect, but you want to get it as close as possible to just highlighting the bone. And then just to see a little bit more, you can click and drag within the squares themselves to change the contrast that you are seeing. So that looks pretty good, you know. Alright. So yeah, you just want to make sure all the bone segments are seen. Now we're going to use it for a mask. Alright. And we're just going to change the view just to make things a little bit easier. You go up to the top, and there's a view option. Here's the first segment, the red segment. And there's a scroll bar at the top. You're going to scroll through it until you see a view that looks nice. That one looks pretty good. I've got all 3 areas. I got the sacrum there. We got the pelvis or the hips and the femurs all viewable. So we're gonna gently paint, click and drag and paint the boundaries. So because we use that masking layer, the paint's gonna stay within that area that was highlighted in yellow from the previous area. But it's really important to make this as clean as possible for the seeding we're going to do later. So you want to be as tedious and as accurate as you can for this. And we don't have to color in the entire bone segment. You mostly just want to do the boundaries, because this is going to tell the software where to begin and end its seeding and differentiate the different segments from each other. And if you aren't seeing color when you click and drag, make sure the paintbrush is selected here in your effects editor. So we got the sacrum there in green. Tip the tailbone. For the purpose of this video, the sacrum is your tailbone, the actual sacrum, and the lower vertebrae. And I had just adjusted my paintbrush size, which is also an option there with the diameter scroll area. Right now, I just brought it down just a little bit, just to be a little bit more accurate, because accuracy is key in this area. And like I said before, because we applied the mask, we will stay on that mask area when we apply the color. All right. Oh, got some red there on the femur. We'll go back and fix that in a minute. So with this paintbrush tool, you are actually free to go back and paint over the like if you paint something wrong, you can paint over it with the right color. So we're gonna go clean that up now. The more accurate and precise you are with this step is going to directly affect your final result. So you really want these lines to be as clear as possible. All right, so now we're going to change views. We're going to go to the yellow section. Do the same thing like we just did. We're going to find a view. The point is with these views, you want to have at least 2, if not more, sections of each of the segments we're segmenting seen. So you don't want the femur to appear once in all 3 of our views. You want the femur to appear minimally twice. Same goes with sacrum, same goes with hips. I think in the ones here, we're going to be able to get the sacrum in 2 views and the hips and femur in all 3. And you can actually see the slice we just painted in the red section. It's going right there through the very top of the femoral head. And like before, accuracy is key. And now we're going to get our hip colored red. And we're also going to do the same thing for the green section. I'm probably going to go back and edit this section after I record and speed through this up a bit. All right, we're back in normal time now. We're going to change views and go to our last section, which is the green section. Now we are in the green segment, and we're going to adjust the view. Alrighty, this one's pretty good, but we want to get a better view of that sacrum bone. I'm going to do what I did in the previous section and go ahead and flash forward through time. Well, all we're doing here is what we've been doing and painting the segments, their correlating colors. Alright, now we're going to change views back to the 4-up view, and we can see all of our segment slices here. And now we're going to click on seeding. We're going to click initialize. And I'm going to take just a moment, and there we go. You can see the color has been filled into those segments that we have outlined. And now we're going to apply it, and now we will go to show in 3D. I'm going to click on that, and we're going to go change our view to the 3D pane. 3D only. Alright. So you can't really see our image right now. First we have to go click up on the cross. That is up at the top. There's our cross, and the image is now in view. So look at that. Look at that. All right, so you see there's some little spots to clean up where pixels blurred, the calculations were a little off, or you painted where you weren't supposed to. That's fine, this is fixable. But the first thing we are going to do is some filtering. So click on smoothing, and we're going to apply a median filter just to do some general smoothing. Default is fine, click apply. This might take a moment. Right, so it's finished there. You can see it's already cleaned up a few little spots for us, but we're not quite done. The joints are still a little messy, so we are going to apply another filter. Going to click on median, scroll down to the joint smoothing, and we're going to reduce our kernel size. Right now it is at 0.5. We're going to put it down to about 0.15 to 0.2, whichever you want. We're going to click apply, and this one does take some time, so I'm probably going to do some time traveling again and speed this part up. All right, so it's been applied. All right, the joints are a little bit cleaner now, and there's one more filter we've got to do. If you've noticed, there's a few holes in our model. We got to fix those too. But otherwise, it looks pretty good. I'm sure yours looks great too. So we're going to go back to our filter, select closing. We're going to bump this up to about 8 and click apply. This one also takes some time. We'll just let it do its thing. All right, so we are back. As you can see, some pits and divots have filled in from that filter. Our model looks a little cleaner now, but there's still some miscolorations. Those are easy to fix. But otherwise, things should have cleaned up a little. You can see there in the joints, there's some cleaning to be done. We got some femur on our hip. That's not what we want. So to fix this, what we're going to do is we're going to go click back on our paintbrush, and we're going to paint it. Make sure it is editable in 3D. This way we get this nice little sphere, and we can click and drag and paint over the areas and correct them as we need. This part is going to be tedious also, and probably time consuming, and it's also dependent on how clean your model is. So for the sake of everyone's time, I'm sure you guys have other stuff going on, I am going to speed up this segment, but it's just going to be using the same practices as we did before. We're going to click and paint the parts the color that they should be. So just make sure you check all of your crevices where the bones interface. Alright, so our model is all cleaned up. It's not perfect, but it's still pretty good. What we're going to do now is we're going to isolate the pelvis, the pelvic bone. Doing a last little check there just to make sure everything looks good. So to isolate it, it's pretty simple. There's some eyeballs over here. Just click all of them except for the hip. So I'm just looking over, making sure it's as clean as I thought it would be. It looks like we've got a little floating piece of the sacrum right there. So to fix that, we're going to do what we did before, or I'm just going to paint it to make it match the sacrum. So let me get a good view of it. All right, that looks all right. I'm going to go click paint, click sacrum, and we're just going to put it where it belongs, which is not here. All right, so I took care of that. Otherwise, besides a few holes, which is due to the pixelation of the CT scan, our pelvis looks pretty nice and clean. So because the pelvis is, for this situation, we're going to consider it being symmetric, we only need to import 1/2 of it into FeBio. So we're going to isolate the right half. To do this, what we're going to do is we're going to click on the hip, then click on these scissors right here, and the default settings are wonderful. And we're just going to draw a circle around the left side with the scissors. So for the most part, you can just draw a circle. You just have to really be careful at this crevice right here. And now the left side should disappear. Might take it a minute, but it's gone. So now we have just our right side. We're going to look it over, make sure there's no surprises left behind. Looks pretty good. And there's one last step to do. So because of the process of what we did, there could be a few floating pixels in the 3D space. So to clean this up, we're going to click on islands, keep the biggest size, and then we're going to press apply. Again, this might take a minute, but this just is going to ensure that we only are going to be exporting the right side of the pelvis. To export it, we're going to click on segments. We're going to go down to export to file in the drop downs. Click on that. Make sure it's saving to where you want it to be, and make sure the file type is STL, and then we're just going to click export. It should pop up wherever you save it. In my case, my Mac automatically shows me where it is. And now we will open FeBio. We're going to start a new model. Structural analysis, structural mechanics, my bad. Click OK. Name it what you want. The usual FeBio stuff. So we're just going to call it that. All right, now go to File, Import Geometry. Go ahead and navigate to where you saved your file. In my case, it's on my desktop. There it is. Play around with it for a second. All right, now open. Import as a binary STL. And now it will take FeBio a moment because the mesh is really, really fine. But once it is in FeBio, it's only a surface mesh. So we have to convert it to a solid. So there it is in all its glory. Just looking it over. The mesh is super fine. So now we're going to click on the green square, click on our object, which is our pelvis, go to edit, and we will convert it into an editable mesh. All right, there we go. It is now free to be manipulated however you see fit. In this case, I'm going to set it up as the hip bone, which is a linear elastic material. See, isotropic, there it is. You know, from here, you can do whatever you want in FeBio. There it is. Got it. All right. Okay. So the density, don't really recall at the moment. We're just going to leave that alone for now. So the Young's modulus is about 17,000. And the Poisson's ratio is about a 0.3. And for density, I'm just going to put down a random number because I did not look that up before this video. And from here, like I said, you can do whatever you want in FeBio because we have it here now. It used to be a CT, and we're done with this tutorial. If you liked this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you for watching.